Welcome back to Midnight Grappler Animals, home of Flub Nation. I'm your host, Lan, and with me I've got two venturers into the unknown, two seekers of truth. It's true, what's the word? Epistemologists? Is that the word? Epistemology? The study of truth?
I like a poopomology more.
That's coprophology, I think is what it's called. Yeah,
that's crazy. Off the dome.
Yeah. Because when you're a coprophile, it means anyway. Keigen, Salt, how are you doing today?
Good.
Great.
Are you guys ready for another sequel to an episode we did like 2-3 years ago? I think almost 3 years ago at this point.
I don't even know.
Back in that mindset, everything was great under the Biden Imperium, and now look at us. You got sick of woke, and look where that brought you.
It's what they say: the walls are up, and the walls are up. That's really it.
We're crawling up them.
We're going right up the walls. So about like almost 3 years ago, we did an episode on the Department of Truth. Volume 1. Salt and I had a lot of thoughts about, what that book was, whether its messaging was effective, and came out of it not too enthused by the work. But it's been 5 years since Department of Truth started, and a whole whopping 33 issues, or 34 by the time this episode comes out, issues have come out. Which, if you do the math, that is not monthly. It took a whole year off, and somewhere in between, I think it was 2024, where there was just no. Anyway, and then last month, at the time of recording, they put out a 0th issue. This one really is something of an anomaly. And I think the main reason why is because the featured talent on this book, on this issue, is none other than Scott Snyder. So with Snyder's entry into the Department of Truth universe, why not do a sequel to our Department of Truth episode? And while we're at it, why not look at another book that came out around the same time as Department of Truth, that was also written by Scott Snyder, alongside Charles Soule, with art by Giuseppe Camuncoli. We're going to be covering Department of Truth, Issue 0, and Undiscovered Country, Volume 1 today. We'll start with Department of Truth 0. So, Keigen, you weren't here last time, but how much of Department of Truth have you read?
That's a good question. I read it monthly as it was coming out. I can't remember. I can't remember the last issue I read, and I don't even really remember. Like, I think it was the Bigfoot stuff. They slide into cryptid stuff in after like issue 10. And they were annoying issues to read. They had like a lot of cursive writing, like a bunch of pages of journal cursive writing. For various reasons, it's not even that it really fell off, right? Because the book was pretty consistently, as you guys described it in the episode. But I just was like, nah, I'm done. Like, it's a lot easier for me to read things monthly that are like not good, because it's just like, whatever, it's like 15 minutes of one of my days this month, like I'm not sitting down with this thing, I'm just whatever. But I just reached a great breaking point there. And yeah, I don't think I ever really planned on going back, but Snyder writing an Elvis Department of Truth issue was too good for me to not pitch for us, because that's no. That's what I want. That's the disgusting sicko shit for me.
And Salt, what do you remember from our coverage of Department of Truth Volume 1?
I remember the first issue had some kind of ice wall to use flat eartherism to introduce people to the book, and then it got into some JFK stuff. I remember my analysis was mainly about how it was a really juvenile approach to JFK trutherism and conspiracies in general. And I think my takeaway was largely that James Tynion had a lot of respect for our alphabet agencies that I lack because I'm a godless communist.
The alphabet mafia, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Department of Truth number 0 is a great entry point for us as someone who has forgotten everything that I read of Department of Truth.
God, I wish that were me.
Quick synopsis. This issue has 2 parts, one written by James Tynion with art by Martin Simmonds, the other part written by Scott Snyder with art by Josh Hixson. The Tynion portion of this is its own little self-contained thing, and it features basically a QAnon guy trying to thwart Pizzagate, getting caught, and then being introduced to the Department of Truth. On the Snyder side of things, we've got Elvis and cryptids, and yeah, honestly, that was the hardest part to synopsize. It was only like 5 pages of this 36-page issue. But we'll start with the Tynion portion, Tynion and Simmonds. First impressions, thoughts?
I had to double check dates because we were talking about like 2020. I know the Undiscovered Country book is written in 2020. Mm-hmm. And, I just got really confused. So reading all this, I was like, okay, yeah, we're doing 2020 stuff. And then I double checked 10 seconds ago this issue, Department of Truth 0, and it was published in 2025. Mm-hmm. Like he's writing a Comet ping pong story in 2025 after this story has been running for 30 plus issues is wild. Like my man's well has truly run dry.
Well, I mean, it goes back to issue 1 is the thing, right? So like he did that to himself. He created that problem, because this is like filling in immediately before issue 1 stuff, and issue 1 is all about Pizzagate, flat earther stuff too. So I mean, yeah, it's stupid to read this in 2025. I agree. Like you shouldn't. This 0 issue didn't need to exist. Actually, I thought the whole issue was going to be Elvis. Was going to be Snyder Elvis, and that's why.
So did I. Honestly,
I was really disappointed. I opened the page and I was like, "What the fuck?" Like
I was so disappointed to learn that the Snyder portion of this was only 5 pages.
Yeah, well, it's also part 1, right? So like, I'm assuming these are backups going through the next arc of.
I mean, perhaps.
I don't know. I haven't checked.
Not like I'm going to be reading that. So
no.
you know what, Keigen? You tell me.
Especially 5 pages at a time. What is this? 3 worlds, 3 moons? Come on, guys. What are we doing?
You can take the man out of the direct market, but no, wait, never mind. You can't take the man out of the direct market.
Yeah. No, you're stuck there forever, pal.
Salt honestly nailed it right on the head. It really does feel like rehash. I feel like is too strong of a word, but I think if you're gonna do what you did in your very first issue, you gotta do something new with it. And this one doesn't really do anything new with it. It doesn't really make any sort of salient commentary on, really just the whole MAGA apparatus, especially now that we're living in the second Trump term, right? It feels like, you should have thought about the ways that things have changed in the past 5 years. Like it feels like an issue out of time. Like Salt said, it just doesn't feel like it has progressed at all in the past 5 years. And if this is your entry point back into the franchise, and I hate calling it a franchise, but that's really what it is at this point. Like this doesn't do anything to really sell me on the idea that things have changed and there's actually a reason for me to want to go back to reading this book.
Lan, yeah. I'm really glad you brought that up because, when I think about what's changed, one of the most salient ways in which the world has changed with Trump too is like, and I'm not the first one to say this, of course, but Trump is legitimate now. Like, No one can say like he's a fake president. Like you have to be the most like blue anon type person to say that. Like so many, large corporations and other world leaders have kissed the ring. And so if I was doing a book about this, I probably would have incorporated that rather than like, again, just rehashing everything.
Yeah, like it's the legitimacy aspect of it. And that's really the key thing here is like, what is truth in the face of legitimacy, and what is legitimacy to truth? This doesn't do anything with that. It doesn't say anything about the reality of what it is to be in this existence, this era, right? It's playing with the same vagaries that it was playing with back in 2020. It feels toothless.
Yeah. I mean, and that's this Tynion's half of this, at least, really does point so much that like one of the major flaws of Department of Truth in general is that it's not nearly mean enough to anyone. Like even the crazy conspiracy guy who's trying to end the QAnon guy who's trying to end Pizzagate there. Like, okay, let's recruit him and make him part of the thing. And then like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know that there was ever a really good handle on, for me at least, even 12 issues in, that the series was actually treating the Department of Truth as, good in any way, right? It feels very much like we're going to get to the point in this where they're monstrously evil and they're killing their own agents or whatever, right? Like this is long form storytelling. They weren't setting up anything to be told in 20 issues or whatever. But like even still, it's not nearly mean enough to any of the subjects with the material that they're actually using. And like this is just limp because of this issue. And on top, and then the other part of all of this is like a lot of this is just a flaw of zero issues anyway. Like a zero issue, what is it even supposed to be? And I feel like almost all zero issues fail in this way, because they're almost never used as a jumping on point when I feel like they should be. They almost always require context, right? It's like a prequel
I would go
in so many
against that.
different ways.
I don't think the zero issue is meant to be a jumping on point. And I think pretending that it is really the biggest flaw of every company that does it. Like when Marvel does it, when DC does it. Like zero issues feel like they back propagate context more than they do.
Yeah, like, and you need the context of the run in order to do that. But I feel like a lot of books try to pitch it as here's some, or even an ancillary thing, right? Like here's a one shot thing that is good for the readers who are following along, but also like maybe you can get something out of it. But yeah, I mean, it is very funny to see that this was like they hedged themselves in so hard in grounding things so much in 2020 specific context and topics that it's like returning to it is like, what are we doing here?
I mean, the funniest thing is the only atemporal thing, I guess, in the context of everything else being 2020 minded, is the whole thing with the presidential pardon. But the presidential pardon isn't given to the QAnon guy, who is the guy that you would think would be going on to do Jan 6 type stuff. It's given to like, 19-year-old brat, right? That like flaunts it. It's like, what's the point of this? Why are you? It's stupid.
Yeah, there's a panel that I really want to focus in on, and it's a double page spread with a QAnon shaman type figure standing in front of a cross covered in the American flag, and while on the side of the page like Tynion's doing a long monologue, but I think the panel itself is really what is the issue here. Like, this panel, it portrays the QAnon shaman as someone with power, but in the years since, we've seen that he was a really mentally disturbed man whose life was ruined by January 6th. And I'm not saying that to condemn him or feel sorry for him, but he wasn't anyone of significant influence. And this panel completely, the composition at least, completely misunderstands that.
I mean, I guess that's the narrative aspect, right? Like, people still see the QAnon shaman as like this figurehead of January 6th, when in reality, he, again, like you said, a broken man. And I think that's one of the critical flaws of this book, even if it is trying to, I guess, provide some kind of commentary on that, is that, at the end of the day, it plays with the imagery that, I guess, Blue Anon type or blue sky liberals,
there we go.
That's it's that kind of imagery that would titillate them almost, right?
Yeah. No, I think that's a good thing to pull on, because I also like, this is not speaking to any truth of 2020, of January 6th or anything like that, right? This is, if anything, you look at this image and, obviously it's pulling on the aesthetics of the QAnon shaman, obviously, and all that, but it almost has more of a, like, especially paired with the Elvis stuff and the becoming a tulpa through fame. It almost feels more like if this isn't, and this is the frustrating thing, like, what they're actually talking about is Charlie Kirk, right? Like, that's actually a thing that you could use the American cross, the American flag cross, and that, like, tulpa-esque, you sacrifice your personhood for power being, as a statement about Charlie Kirk. But, like, again,
if only they'd waited like 6 months, they could have done an issue featuring like 50 million Charlie Kirks photoshopped onto, AI onto various rappers.
But like,
Tynion, let me in. I got an idea for you.
It's too toothless to even try to do that either, right? Because it's like, I'm making that connection because I'm smarter than this book. But like, that's what you do with this if you actually had thoughts about all of it. But instead, it's just like, Trump bad, like, it's not. And even it's, I don't know, this stuff drives me crazy, because it's like, this is the easiest layup in the world. It should be, but it's just like not nearly mean enough to any of the subjects.
Yeah. And again, I guess the same thing, it feels like we're saying the same thing that we did in our last issue. It's like, what's the point? If you're not gonna be harder with your commentary, what is the point? Right? Like, who are you writing this for?
You're writing this for MSNBC libs. Like,
you're writing this for the
clamoring.
They're buying it. They're enjoying it. Which,
Book got
whatever.
Picked up by Murdochs, right?
Get them their methadone. Whatever.
You mean they're
in the work plant? We'll need them in the work camps. So keep them around for now. These rags will placate them then too.
Anything else on the Tynion Simmonds portion of this book? You just turn into like a robot.
Yeah, that was an
buzzing.
Interesting sound.
I don't know how it's going to pick up on your mic, but for me, it just sounded like
out. I was just blowing a raspberry.
Okay, yeah, it didn't sound like that at all.
Sorry, Craig.
Okay. Well, in that case, let's cover the Snyder Hixson portion of this. I didn't know what this was about until I saw the words "wild fictions," like 3 pages in.
What was with
Keigen
that?
Keigen, can you explain that?
No, not really.
Okay.
It's just context, so I'm not saying anything else. I know that Department of Truth did have. I know there's a classification of beings within the universe that are wild fictions. I think Santa Claus is one of them. One of them. So, and it's just like a being who gains power through a fiction surrounding them. That's my understanding. Again, that's mostly contextual and knowing that, like, this is a thing that I don't know.
What's the difference between that and a tulpa?
It is a tulpa. I think
It is a
everything in
tulpa. It's
Department of Truth is a tulpa, and these are just different kinds of tulpas.
sure. Okay.
I hope that means there's an issue coming up with pregnant Sonic, because that's where it would need to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
We need.
Shouts.
Actually, I can't say that one. So Wild Fictions was the one that Tynion took to Substack, right?
But it wasn't like a story. It was just like case files, is my understanding and my recollection. So like there was art done, you know, he paid somebody, I don't think it was Simmonds. It was part of the break, I think, which I also think they took multiple, like they took a couple breaks.
Right.
But that was like the Department of Truth stuff that was being made at that time, where the Wild Fictions case files and stuff. Yeah, I don't know what the difference, like, I don't know what the meaningful difference is between like cryptids, which is a classification of tulpa also, and wild fictions. I don't understand that. I think the book maybe does that, but I don't really know. I just know it is a tulpa. It's just a kind.
Sure. Okay. With that being explained, what were your thoughts on this story?
I mean, Snyder's better than Tynion.
I guess,
whatever.
but
Like,
you know, like
this is really slight. This is really slight. But I'm like, this is much more what I wish Department of Truth was about. Like, I would much rather this kind of stuff, which maybe it is. There's 20 something issues that I haven't read, right? So maybe there's a bunch of it that's like this. But this is much better to me. Not that if there was a good writer writing these two ideas, like, you know, the core concept is fine, but like this is significantly better than anything I've read of Department of Truth.
Again, I guess. I mean, I see what you're saying. You know, I think the wild fiction stuff does feel like it's not just Snyder's bread and butter, but like Tynion's bread and butter too. Like it feels like the kind of thing this book should be about, you know, because again, if Toothless political commentary is the majority of the book, but this is also here, I would rather just read more of this.
Right. And
Granted,
this is like
gun to my head.
And like Snyder likes Elvis. Elvis is like the rock star in Snyder's mind. Okay, I don't know if anybody needs this context, but like he's his favorite guy, and it just immediately shows that Snyder's way more brave to like confront things than Tynion is too. But it's also just a thing where Snyder, like, so much of Snyder's writing is he's actually afraid of things. And he like starts from a seed of like, this would freak me out. And I'm like, it's funny to me. It's fun to look at that and be like, yeah, okay, dude. Like, and I don't know, like, I think him picking apart the idea of fame is a more successful use of tulpa stuff than Department of Truth really does.
Salt, what about you?
I had two main thoughts about this. My first thought is, why is Marilyn Monroe in here? And for context, we're getting this lore dump on all these types of wild fictions, the the specters, the visitations, all that, and then we have a splash with it's this composition with all these different demonic entities with Marilyn Monroe on the right. And the final piece of text says, but Marilyn, she was something else. There wasn't a category in the world that could contain her. And that like really threw off a lot of the issue for me. Cause like, there's not really any significant conspiracy about Marilyn Monroe lived. And you do have that for other celebrities. So I couldn't quite figure out what that was doing in this story.
Yeah, I mean, like with Elvis, the
murder,
big one.
Is her murder like a confirmed thing? Is that
well?
Is that what they're pulling
the
on?
conspiracy is why she was killed or who killed her, right? And like that is a conspiracy, but that's not a tulpa in the way that like people do believe Elvis exists. Like that's crazy, but you can kind of there's a coherency to it. Like you're not claiming Marilyn Monroe's still around.
Yeah, I mean, I think my read on that is not as much that the conspiracies create the wild fictions, turn celebrities into wild fictions, but like it's not just like believing a particular story about them. It's like believing in their celebrity, like buying into them as important people. I mean, that's that was like my gut check, intuitive like reaction to this story. But I also like calling out Marilyn, unless it's, in part 2 or part 3 of whatever this thing is, wherever it ends up being, is very weird in this like 8-page story also. Like,
but you know what I would have done?
What would you have done?
I would have had excess Tentacion in there. And like, that's a guy who lives on,
him. Ooh, tell him. Ooh, tell him. Ooh, tell him. I would have had King Von in there. I would have had King Von in there.
There you go.
Snyder head to Oblog right now.
but I say that too, like not just to be funny, but like it does feel like this man's idea of pop culture ended in like 1981 or something.
Oh, absolutely.
Like there's so much
absolutely.
relevant stuff that has happened in the last 50 years.
So just quickly, how much of Snyder's work have you read?
No, you guys did it again. You introduced me to a writer.
Yeah.
I knew this was going to happen. It's great though, because it's like this is honestly like one of the best ways. Like I'm thinking, like it didn't click for me until I got to the last page. This is the perfect like 5-page short to introduce Snyder with, like his mindset, how he approaches topics, everything. Because I forget if it's the last page or the page right before. He's talking about the different types of fictions, and then he gets to this piece of dialogue that I'm like, okay, bravo, Snyder, you've done it again. And the piece of dialogue is a 4th type of fiction, a story we can't contain. And I'm like, that is Snyder.
Yeah.
You've done it.
No, you know what? I was like, how is Lan gonna pitch this? Because but the whole thing is actually all of the techniques are here. It's the topic is extremely stupid and is negatively pushing you, but like all of the like, including there's this thing that he loves Elvis, that he's gonna like look at it and try to pick it apart a little bit and like see if he can make himself hate it, kind of stuff. To the like secret history stuff is 100% there. And another thing Snyder does is like he heavily researches things. He like reads a bunch of books, and then you'll see the dumbest little fun facts pop up here and there, and we see that today too. So no, you're totally it's spot on. This is a good, like, you could pick this thing apart and see all of Snyder's ticks in like a tiny little frame. That's funny.
Yeah, it's a perfect microcosm of Snyder's like writing talent.
Yeah, it's got all the things.
It's got all the hits. It's got all the hits.
Yeah.
Thoughts on the art?
I like Hixson.
Yeah, Hixson's fine. I do like Jordi Belaire's color work here. Tritone for the most part, I think. Keeps it feeling very like comic strip-y kind of. Thought it was good. I think that's the annoying thing about this book, and really Department of Truth at whole, is like the art's at worst just fine, but on the whole, like it most of the time it's pretty good. It's just man, I wish it was in service of better story, like better dialogue, I guess. But I don't know. I guess the Snyder stuff is the better part of this issue.
I would rather read any Snyder book than like any Tynion book, just like up and down their entire career. But that's just me. I don't know.
Actually, this is a good question for you. What do you consider Tynion's best work?
It's got to be Detective Comics, right? I don't even like that much.
Is it? Because I don't. There's no way that can be.
It's better than Batman. It's better than. I never did this like YA stuff. That's definitely not for me, so I'm not going to rate that highly.
Yeah, how do you could you imagine Wind is the magnum opus of Tynion's career?
It could be. Maybe what the Closet was like a 3-issue thing that he did that is fine. The Tynion and Snyder of it all is actually really interesting too. Like just the way I don't think Snyder let him in or anything through the Batman backups, but like Tynion very much became the like, this guy's eventually going to get Batman, right? Through that, through that
the disciple,
Eternal,
like
Batman
the
Robin Eternal. Like he worked his way through the trenches upward in a way that like Snyder didn't really have to either. He like Snyder kind of got gifted stuff in a in a
I mean,
totally different
Snyder
way.
came in around the end of the,
Pre New 52.
yeah, New Earth, I guess we want to call it
Whatever.
that.
Whatever it is.
Whatever that is, right? Like
Pre-Flashpoint.
he still had his, his,
You got Detective
his
Comics.
build up.
Yeah.
But I think with Tynion, it was much more like there was a nurtured career there. Like
Mhm.
Snyder was there for a good chunk of that growth period before
Yeah.
Tynion got Detective.
Yeah, I mean, even like the Justice League, Tiny and getting the Justice League stuff on as like B-sides of Snyder, like very much they again, I don't know how much that was Snyder already knew him and he was like, this guy should do backups for me. But this is kind of a full circle moment, like Snyder's doing a backup in Tynion's dumb lib comic. It's like, all right, yeah, that's fun.
Libbing out with the boy, libbing out with my former student.
Yeah, it's the goal.
Any other notes on this singular issue?
Yeah, my other.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go you first, Keigen.
Like the Elvis stuff does obviously push buttons that I've talked about on the podcast recently, and like even the Gaiman episode, where I'm talking about like becoming a celebrity makes you less of a person. Like it just does. You brand yourself out and you become different. You become a monster in some cases, and so it's like, yeah, it hit for me because of just like obvious that kind of stuff reasons. But it's just too short, and like this is not a meaningful amount of story to even like really bite into. That being said, am I going to pursue more of it? I don't think so. So, that's what thanks a lot for making it like 1/6 of the zero issue. I wish it was just the whole issue.
Yeah. It's not, I don't regret having read it, but at the same time, I'm not compelled to read more. So if that's a failure of this issue as a 0th issue that's meant to bring people into the series, sorry, lads, you failed for me. Salt.
Yeah, the odds were stacked against this for me to really enjoy it because I've read or I've experienced the superior Elvis lived story, and that is the 2002 Bruce Campbell film Bubba Hotep. I don't think you can do a much better Elvis lived story than that one. So go watch that if you haven't already.
Well, there you go. Is that your final take on this book?
Yes.
Go watch Bubba Hotep.
Yeah, watch Bubba Hotep. It's a good time.
Okay. So Keigen, no other final words for you?
No. Yeah.
Okay. There we go. Okay, so then let's move on to the second book, or volume in this case. Undiscovered Country, Volume 1. This is a book that was written not only by Scott Snyder, but also Charles Soule, with layouts from Giuseppe Camuncoli and finishes by Daniele Orlandini for the first 4 issues, and then Leonardo Marcello Grassi for the last 3 issues. There's only 6 issues. The 2 inkers both did the 4th issue. It was colored by Matt Wilson the whole way through. It came out in 2019. It's set in a apocalyptic United States where a cataclysmic event has caused creatures to originate within the United States. This version of the United States features time dilation that causes many problems for the people within it. This is a United States that is very isolated, and features Sam Porter bridges transporting cargo from city to city. Oh, I'm reading the synopsis for Death Stranding. Sorry guys, my bad.
I was so confused. It was so correct. I thought you were just gonna
let me do that one again. Yeah, this features an apocalyptic United States after an event called the Sealing. The crux of this story is that there is a global pandemic. Again, this came out in November of 2019. There is a global pandemic threatening to cause the extinction of the human population. So a team goes in because the United States has given them an offer. They say they can cure this virus, the sky virus. But actually, I don't know what their conditions are, but they offer it to the rest of the world. And so a team goes in to take the U.S. up on their offer, and what they find inside, surprise, surprise, there are creatures and time dilation inside the United States. And guess what? Things are very isolated. How do we approach this?
I have a suggestion.
Okay.
You've given the synopsis for the story. I think people who haven't read it,
you don't need to, but
yeah,
please don't.
Yeah, you don't need to. We can do the issue by issue. We'll do the issue by issue.
Well, so we can do issue by issue. Yeah. Up to a point, but I think the way to start this is I would like for you to share that quote that you shared in our chat and like how you found it, because I think that's kind of the Rosetta Stone here.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so the reason why I wanted to do this book as a part of this episode was because I was thinking about, the pandemic recently and a lot of the books that were coming out around that time, just because, Department of Truth was one of those books, and it was a book which, even though it fails at its commentary, does deal with a lot of the culture surrounding that time. And then I remembered Undiscovered Country, which very much felt like something in the same vein. It was fairly popular around that time as well. And, I hadn't heard anything about it in the past couple of years. So I figured, why not take a dive inside, see what it's like? Because especially now, when the United States is approaching perhaps a period of really big isolation, like we're talking Tokugawa shogunate type isolation. I thought it would be interesting to look at this book to see if it has any biting commentary about all this. So this first volume actually features a letter from Scott and Charles, published at the end of the first issue, and it's pretty long, but there are a couple of paragraphs that really stood out to me that I want to read.
Take it away.
Okay. So, that spring, in hopes of finding the right idea, we decided to accept another invitation. Over the years, doing research for Batman and Daredevil, we'd come into contact with a man who'd worked in the CIA for a number of years and was still an active consultant on matters of national security. We'd all become friends, and on a few occasions, he'd invite Charles and me down to visit the CIA with him, and even meet some folks from various departments of DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, the department responsible for the development of advanced technology for the military. The CIA visit was wild. We learned about secret, dangerous moments in the Cold War, how close America and the Soviet Union came to all-out hostility, and we learned about gadgets and missions, operations straight out of fiction. We learned about incredible acts of service performed by men and women whose names will forever remain unknown, but whose sacrifices will never be forgotten. We spoke again with our friend at the CIA, and he informed us that the idea of an independent America was something that he and his partners had been wargaming for years in think tanks. How a wall might be built, literally and figuratively, how a new currency might be developed, how communication could be shut down. All of it. Every fact led to a new idea, a new territory, a new prehistoric zone, an oceanic zone, and so on, and now we are here.
Now we are here.
We are here.
I'm so glad you read all of that. That was bonkers.
I had to, because honestly, I think that is the best context for the state of mind this book was written in. Because, I had read this after I read everything else, as the volume presents itself, right? And after reading this, I was like, oh, okay, that makes everything in this makes so much more sense. Just the second it got to the friend in the CIA, my first thought was, oh, is that Tom King? And then no, probably not.
It's so much funnier that it's probably not Tom King. Like,
yeah.
It's really funny to me that they're like, this is all of that is really funny. Yeah.
Yeah, I think to talk to someone at the CIA or DARPA or any of those alphabet agencies and believe what they tell you, like that's the like being in your 40s equivalent of I have a friend at school whose dad works at Nintendo. Like you just believe anything people tell you.
My friend's uncle that works at the CIA.
Yeah. Like of course they're telling you about like all these crazy like super resistant crops and sci-fi vehicles. Like that's their job, is to do PR for their firm. Like you need to be a little bit discerning and not immediately buy what they're selling you.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the thing there for Snyder especially is that he's a big dumb nerd who wants to write a story. So, like, of course, he's gonna take that as a morsel that he can get excited about, because he's a big dumb nerd who wants to take these things and put them into a story. But like, the whole meeting, the whole idea of touring all that stuff is just it's so funny. Like, I assume Salt, you know nothing about Charles Soule. But like,
I have actually a very fun fact about Charles Soule, but you go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No. I want to hear the fun fact about Charles Soule first.
I was doing a little bit of research into Charles Soule, looking into this book, and Charles Soule majored in or studied Chinese in college, and he also had this expertise in Asian relations when he was a lawyer. Or China relations, and I think that the China angle of this book is really funny. So that explains all of this to me.
Yeah, no, that is hilarious. But yeah, I mean, he's just a big old nerd, big old like, I don't know. He did a couple of different things in terms of law, but like, I think the last I heard or checked, he was doing immigration law. Real liberally during Trump's first term. I think he shifted to immigration law. And like, yeah, these guys are just like like Soule was a successful lawyer, and he decided to start writing like 5 comic books a month for Marvel and DC. Like, these guys are just, they live for this kind of stuff, trying to find a thread from the CIA to seed into a new dumb bad comic, and it's just like, it's so funny.
Well, I was trying to think, like, why does this feel so much more low IQ than a lot of other low IQ post-apocalypse stuff? And it's the insistence of trying to tie it into real world geopolitics. If they had written a more generic post-apocalypse story, I think a lot of this wouldn't feel so dumb, but it's so preposterously dumb because of that insistence.
I mean, there's a bunch of things rubbing up against each other here that I think makes it not work. Because like the time dilation stuff that explains the mutated monsters is, I mean, it doesn't work in this volume at all, and like there's other things that don't work here, and it's like, well, this is 1/6 of the story, right? I mean, the story's not even done yet. The last issue is scheduled for March 2026.
So that's the other thing I want to bring up is like the publication of this book, because this is an Image comic, and boy does it show it. Like, just, it's crazy that we're talking about this not as though it's something that's done, because it feels like something that's done, to me at least. Like when I mentioned, oh, let's do Undiscovered Country Volume 1, I did it under the assumption that this book had already ended like 2 years ago. Turns out it hasn't. It's not going to be done until February or March of next year.
Yeah, March. I think it slipped again. I mean, I don't know. We went hard on scheduling stuff, talking about with 3 Worlds, 3 Moons. And like, the reality of the entire industry is everyone's slower than ever. Like, I don't know. Ramon Villalobos is my buddy. How many pages does he get done in a year? Like,
listen, it's that long COVID that's affecting everybody.
I can't, yeah, sure. It's Havana syndrome has got to the entire comics industry.
The entire comics industry has been injected with ivermectin.
Look 20 pages a month. Happened. It's the inflation, you know. Mark Bagley used to get to do 24 pages a month in Ultimate Spider-Man, but now
the pacing of this is crazy because this has two writers, right? The first about 12-ish issues came up pretty regularly and became more sporadic in 2022. And then in 2023, there were 5 issues, 3 issues in 2024, 4 issues just this year, and then 2 issues in 2026. And it's, I guess it's a priority thing. Like, it's the same conversation we had during the 3 Worlds, 3 Moons episode, right? Like, where do the priorities lie? And I really wonder how much that's affected the plot of this story. Because, you know, by the time I got to the 6th issue of this, I'm like, you need to lock in really hard for this to pay off. Like, 6 issues in, I can't see this landing without even without landing in more than one piece.
Yeah, with the plot and the politics of it, my first note I wrote was, damn, this must hit really hard if your parents still file you as a dependent on their taxes.
That's awesome. That's really good. Yeah. I mean, do we want to do issue by issue stuff, or
we can do like quick bits before we talk about the whole story, I guess.
Yeah, just because I don't know. Do you, like, I feel like if we're gonna do it, we should do that and then get to
then talk about the whole thing.
Just so that because otherwise I'm just gonna start talking about the whole thing.
Okay, let's speed run this then. Okay, so I've got synopses. I wrote synopses. That's why I want to do this issue by issue. I wrote synopses for these things, and honestly, they're my only notes because everything else just feels like it feels like I've got long COVID. You know, it feels like I'm in a fugue state reading this. Okay, so issue 1. It's been 30 years since the U.S. closed its borders to the rest of the world. Now, as a plague works its way through the world, the U.S. sends out a message claiming to have a cure. Dr. Charlotte Graves and her crew go on an exploratory mission to look into the offer being made and discover that the U.S. isn't what it seems. They're saved from a pack of wild boys by Uncle Sam Elgin, the man who made them the offer.
Wow, Uncle Sam! That's Uncle like Sam. A symbol.
Whoa,
he does the "I want you" thing at the very last page. Isn't that crazy?
It's horrible. Oh, this has so many awful libisms. So many horrible ones. No foreign boots shall ever set foot on American soil. The old
that
glorious
line's kind of funny though, because the guy's getting his feet bit off.
Yeah.
I can kind of forgive that one.
Yeah, no,
but I think that feels like kind of the thing. You know what it reminded me of, and maybe it's just because it was a bison doing it. It reminded me of Kevin Smith's Tusk for some reason. I don't know why, but I saw that panel, and the first thing that came to mind was Tusk. Do you remember this A24 movie about a man who gets turned into a walrus?
I never saw that one, but I think by comparing this to a Kevin Smith work, you're really capturing the
right.
level of intelligence here.
I say this because that is what it's reminding me of. Like, that's the bar that this comic's setting for me. It's this and Tusk.
Right.
Oh, another libism, the silent minority.
Yeah, awful, disgusting. Upsetting. Yeah, I would love, I don't want to be the person to do this, but I would love somebody to sit down and talk to the art team and figure out what this is, because it looks so much like Camuncoli art when he's only credited as layouts, and it's the line work looks so much like his. So what happened there? That's the thing.
In the back, they state that he is the penciler with, the other two being inkers. But for some reason in the credits, he's only credited as a layout artist.
Real weird way of crediting. But then this first issue, the 5 double page spreads in a row, I'm just like, why? And these aren't even none of them are using the space that cool either. You know?
See, that's the Tynion of it all, if you think about it.
It irritated me so much. It like, you know this. I hate bad double page spreads that are like just not, they're just panels organized in a
and you're
different
telling
way.
me you're not a fan of James Tynion's work?
No,
I hate.
But no, Keigen, really though, you're so right. Like those pages are like exhausting. Like anytime we got on those pages, I just thought, here we go. Like I don't know, they kill any momentum.
It's so weird too because it feels like action is missing between the panels on those pages too. Like there are pages where something will happen and then something else will happen, but it feels like there was a bit of missed time in between two of the. And I wonder what the scripting was like on this book for that to be the case. Baffling double page spreads.
The wild thing is, I just counted all the panels on those, and the highest panel double page spread is 12 panels, right? Which still averages out to 6 per page, which should be like, that's the BKV rhythm, right? Is like 4 to 6 panels a page, which is supposed to be like bop, 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 bop. Like it gets you through the issues. No, man, they suck. All those double page spreads in a row is awful. It's just so much talking. And like, double page spreads to me, like use the space to do a cool visual because you have this extra widescreen space to be able to do that. And like, just, it feels like such a waste of the form to do like 5 in a row especially is just so excessive. It's annoying, and it's an extra long issue, so it also just makes all of it emphasizes all the flaws of the thing. Really terrible foot to start on in this.
On that note of time and rhythm, I really didn't like the flashback structure here. I thought it like didn't add anything. So I purposely like reread it in chronological order, like going back and forth between the pages, and it reads so much smoother.
Yeah, it's very vignetted for the majority of the book. And it just doesn't it's a headache to read. I will say later issues do the time skip things a bit better, I think, just in terms of giving context. Like they do flashbacks the way that they're supposed to, right? But this first issue for some reason is just all over the place.
Bad first issue.
Anything else before we move on to the second issue?
What was that Peter Jackson produced movie with the big machines? He didn't direct it, but there was like these huge like land ships.
The Golden Compass?
No.
His Dark Materials?
No, there was a movie.
Lord of the Rings?
The Hobbit? The Get Back?
There was these giant mortal engines.
Never
would have got there with me.
No, because no one saw it. It was like very much like YA sci-fi, right? And like the traveling super base for the bad guys is like ripped straight out of Mortal Engines, and that was just really dumb to.
I was thinking Mad Max the whole time. That's why I said Wild
there
Boys.
Are Mad Max elements, but
I can see that.
But the size of the base is that movie, and that movie came out like 2 years before this.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, I joke about on the note of Snyder being quote unquote inspired by things around him. This book came out 2 days before Death Stranding. Of course, Death Stranding promo had happened for many months, many years actually before this book came out, and it really is hard to not see the comparisons between the two. Like the sky virus leading to people leaking out of their eyes, their orifices, basically looking like Mads Mikkelsen from Death Stranding. Again, the influence, it's always great to see what Snyder's kid is engaging with.
So true.
Okay, issue 2. The gang get their first quest. Get the key from the Destiny Man to get access to the next level. State. They hatch a plan to get past the Destiny Man's defenses, and Daniel reveals his true allegiance.
On that note, I am way more forgiving of bad writing in video games, and if this was a video game, I would probably be enjoying myself more.
That's like this is a very video gamey comic, which Death Stranding.
It's funny, like, you hear about stories that are written for the movie or written for adaptation, and this feels like it's made to be adapted into like a Sony video game.
Even the Destiny man is such a video game ass design, like just in every way. Yeah,
the kind of boss that like you have to mash your circle button to get out of a QTE when he's like grabbing you.
He has like different horns too, so it switches based on what build you're using, you know, and you have to switch your build to find the weakness of the horns. Yeah.
Swipe down to pay respect to the American flag and the unknown soldier.
You better. That's a trophy. You better believe you can't get the platinum if you didn't do that. My only note about this one is that if this book were good, I would think it wasted Daniel Graves as a character. Like, the whole concept is the only thing that this book is actually even gesturing at saying anything political. That isn't just like mired in plot nonsense. And I mean, he's wasted, but this book isn't worth anything, so it's not really a waste. He just ends up being a bad part of a bad comic.
My only note for this issue is that it states that he would have almost started World War V, which means in the past 30 years, a World War III and a World War IV have already happened.
We love Calvin Ball, man. We love it when a story just says stuff like that. You know, it makes it so real.
When I hear about events that sound interesting that never get explored at all.
Yeah.
You know, like my favorite kind of storytelling is one where characters talk about events that seem interesting that happened before the story that we'll never see in the story itself.
Look, man.
Who knows? Maybe we might see World War III and World War IV at some point in this book. Who knows? But not I won't know. That involves me reading the rest of this book.
We'll get more into this later, but I think if they had done this book more chronologically, you know, if they had figured out some of the details of World War III and World War IV and the implications of those wars, like I think this book would feel like it had a little more meat to it, right? There's just, I'll explain by the end, but I think there's
I think we'll have a whole thing on world building.
We love those last issues.
You can't just go World War IV. Wasn't that crazy?
No, it's so crazy. You almost started World War V.
That's such a Grant Morrison line.
Your kooky brother almost started World War V. How about that? Okay, issue 3.
I didn't read any further than issue 2. Yes. So this all be news to me.
My bingo card is getting filled out. Salt did not finish the reading. Is circled, starred. I have
another
hearts
salt
written in the
flounder
box.
For the books, boys. Another salt flounder for the books.
Salt did not finish the book. This isn't even really an indicator of quality, is the thing. It's really just a salt action.
Yeah. It's the most...
Press circle to not finish the book. That's one of when I was writing abilities.
When I was writing the synopsis for about, I think it was issue 5. When I got to that point, I'm like, I wonder, did Salt read this issue? Did he get it? Did he get this far?
That's so. I love it.
Okay, so let me tell you about what happens in issue 3.
Thank you.
This one would be your favorite. So.
This would have been so great for you. Ace Kenyatta, who is a member of this expedition, for Salt's context, has a theory about what's going on inside the walls of the United States. The gang gets into D-Man's territory, and the Graveses go searching for Daniel's old submarine, which he crashed the last time he visited the United States. Kenyatta discovers that time actually goes way faster in the U.S. than outside it.
Right.
Keigen.
Okay.
I mean, I think this is actually a rare spot where I can praise the book. I think, we were like, there was already weird time stuff that they had. Like their timeline stuff wasn't making sense, right? Between things that Uncle Sam was saying and things that are, the invaders were saying. And I like that they like They didn't wait a long time, right? But I like that it became a core part of it thing, and it wasn't like a weird mistake or just like being purposefully vague in order to throw people off. Like there's an explanation of the time dilation stuff, which is cool. Like I got to issue 3. Issue 3 might be the only one that I actually like read and going, oh, okay, like I could kind of see what this is doing, and this is kind of cool.
I think the core conceit of it being, Kenyatta's story, I think was interesting. Just, the idea of the coin and that being the central piece to making this issue work. I think that was good. But the time dilation stuff really just makes the Death Stranding comparisons all the more apparent to me. It's hard not to see this book as like a lesser version, I guess, of that. Or not necessarily a lesser version, but like something that is, just the fact that it came out in such close proximity of it, I think it just makes it feel more stale than anything.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I think that criticism of like, I think that's a fair criticism of being like, oh, clearly this was on Snyder's mind, or if it there's no way it wasn't, right? But also, I just think this book is kind of ass. Like, it's just kind of dog ass in general.
It's
like,
not doing
I don't
anything.
even need
like,
that comparison to make it bad, right? Like, it's just like not doing anything good anyway. So
it's not doing, I don't know. It's weird because it's not saying anything about the time dilation specifically. And we don't get, like, we get that time dilation is happening within the United States. We don't know the specifics of it by the end of this volume.
Yeah,
like, we don't know how Sam Elgin is still alive, for one. Going off the timelines, that doesn't make sense. Why is he alive?
This is a good point for me to actually like. Reading this book, I think it was this issue too, where I realized like they're doing Lost is what they're doing. Right. Like,
it's got prestige TV stink on it for sure.
But like, it's not even just like generally speaking prestige TV. It's like it is Lost. Like, this group of people are they're stuck in a location. Right. We'll get deeper into it. But like, and they're like literally stuck here. And then we get the next. Each issue is introducing us to a character, and we're flashing back to their life immediately before and why it's complicated, them being on this mission together. And then like each issue directly relates to a thing that like their key thing, right? Like this guy and his coin we see the story of his coin in the first scenes of the issue. And so it's like it's so doing Lost, and it's not, I'm not even saying it's aping Lost in any real way. Like it uses that structure fine, I think, right? I think 3 and 4 both do a pretty good job of doing that Lost like flashback and relating to the structure. But it's just like it's, that stuff is just the structure of the thing, right? That's the framing of the house, and it's like, okay, the house could look fine in the end, right? They're cookie cutters, whatever, but you can put a cool couch in there or whatever. And it's just like, no, everything in the house sucks. Like, they're not, again, like you were saying, Lan, they're not actually using any of this stuff to say anything cool. They're just like taking the structure of other things and then not doing anything else. And it's just kind of like, what? You're not saying anything. What are we doing here?
I think, I will dip out of books notoriously quickly. I will cop to that. But my reasons always differ.
You're right to this time, I will say. You were right to this time.
Yeah, and it was fine to do that.
One thing I thought they were doing that had some substance was I liked the flags on the vehicles and the bases. It was like a neo Confederate flag. And I was like, oh, that's really ripe. There's a lot you can do about like guys who say they're proud to be American and they're claiming Confederate monuments and symbols. And there was nothing. There's nothing relating to that.
Yeah. And I feel like that kind of stuff can work on something like Dark Souls, right? Where you, or anything like environmental storytelling. This is just fundamentally what that kind of thing is, right? Where it's like, okay, the reader or whatever, player, whatever, is, you're supposed to take that and graft politics onto it and have an understanding of the thing. But then it's just like this book is so dumb. It doesn't help you do anything like that. It doesn't like encourage you to do anything like that. And then anything that it's actually saying is so much dumber than that. Then it's like, what am I even doing here? Like,
there's not even any Orange Man bad in here. Come on.
Yeah. It's nothing. Where's the like Orange any Man? Of that. Yeah.
I guess that's like the secret boss that you're gonna uncover in Volume 6. You know, Volume 6 is when they introduce the roided up Orange Man, and he's the final man in the final state. You know, the final level of this book.
Let's go.
You like finally defeat him, and then the trophy you get is Orange Man bad. Or actually, there's a Cheeto in the White House. That's the trophy you get. There's a Cheeto in the White House.
There's a secret cutscene at the end. It's a piss video, is what it is.
Tom Arnold was right all along.
The post credit scene is Pavel, our soldier. You know, and you get to walk through. It's actually the sequence from Metal Gear Solid 3 when Big Boss is walking through the river with all the dead soldiers that he killed.
There we go.
But it's Pavel with all the stars that he killed.
Poor stars.
Okay, so issue 4. Believe it or not, the gang gets captured by the Destiny Man, and the focus moves over to Valentina Sandoval. Valentina reveals that Lottie has Sky and is a few months into her infection. They get the key, a golden railroad spike, with honestly little to no resistance. The Destiny Man just kind of gives the railroad spike to them.
Well, there was some kind of trade, right?
I mean, it's a trade, but it feels like the trade just happened with very little resistance.
Yeah, he was like, well, if I give this to you, you'll find the door for me, and I'm going to get in. Yeah.
A lot of very trusting guy, this D-Man.
Yeah.
And Valentina reveals that the 7 people chosen to be on the expedition were handpicked by the mysterious Aurora. Who is Aurora? What is Aurora? That's not for this volume.
Aurora is introduced so poorly.
It's such a.
No
I
idea.
wouldn't even call it a reveal.
I wouldn't even call it a reveal. It just is a word that is continued to use the rest of the time. I didn't get what Aurora was really supposed to be, because then Destiny Man starts talking about Aurora at the end. So
the crazy thing is, Salt has read parts of this book that mention Aurora.
Oh, damn.
That's true.
Because Aurora was mentioned in the first two issues of this book.
Yeah, I don't really understand anything about Aurora, the purpose or it's just a word.
Aurora is just a word.
Yeah.
Do you have any other notes about this issue? This is such a.
Why were they so worried? Like that was a big old boat they were on, and she used her drone to put a tiger on the boat. And it's like, why did people think there would be a tiger on the boat?
That's what confused me, because
I was really confused about this.
The last issue states that the boat is meant to be its own self-sustaining environment, right? There's a greenhouse, there's biomes, there's all sorts of things that can sustain life, basically, if it needed to, right? And in my mind, I guess this is me, making assumptions here. I guess part of that entailed that they would have like a Noah's Ark type situation where they would have like a zoo, I guess. But at the same time, we created a zoo. Matt Damon.
Bioengineered a zoo.
Listen, we know you did The Martian, but you want to do The Martian on Earth? Welcome to our concept, Undiscovered Country. Yeah, the whole sequence was like, I get it. You wanted this to be like a show of Valentina's wits, I guess. But just a really baffling way to do it, especially when a lot of these things just were established very poorly, or weren't explored, deep enough that you could, lob in something like this.
Tiger on a boat, whatever.
Tiger on a boat. That is issue Was that 4? I'm losing track here. That's what I mean when I say
that
this
one's
book,
4,
book puts me in like a fugue state.
Yeah.
It's its own real world time dilation.
Yeah, I'm doing time dilation right now. Like I'm experiencing time dilation myself. Okay, issue 5. Pavel, who gets captured in the first issue, is now in a penal state, I guess, where all the prisoners are forced to climb up a wall. For what reason? I don't know. We don't really get that, do we?
Mm-hmm.
Many such cases. Anyway, Pavel escapes his wall climbing exercise with a pin, like a literal pin, stored in his mouth. Lottie ditches Daniel and meets up with Uncle Sam. Sam uses the key to reveal their transport to the next level, state. An Amtrak train.
Really, really, truly like a hidden American treasure. A train.
Was that an Amtrak train? I don't know. I was just.
Oh, I don't. Amtrak trains kind of look different depending.
I don't know. I was hoping that one of you Americans would, you know.
I mean,
check
I've been on
in on
Amtrak trains.
I've read on an Amtrak. They're
train.
nice. They could be a lot nicer if they weren't so slow. Joe Biden loves them, so that's very much fits with the libness here.
So go to page 115 when you can and tell me if that is an Amtrak train, because honestly, I don't really know.
I just assumed that it was, because I don't know what the train. I don't know what the dilapidated train structure.
That's just
a
weird thing.
It's just like an old train. I'm sure. Again,
also Snyder train has treads. That's just like sci-fi bullshit.
Yeah, no, there weren't any rails, so he just summoned a train.
Just a train. Okay.
I mean, yeah, we could get semantic about the train.
Let's
get even more autistic.
It's fine.
This would have been a perfect opportunity for an anachronistic, sort of train out of time. We retrofitted this train from the 30s with tech that will take us to the next state.
It really does just
I guess
come
that
out
just
of
didn't
nowhere.
happen. I don't know.
That train just
it is
spawns.
a train. It just is a train.
Yeah.
The spike is a thing that you put in the wall and it reveals a train. That's it.
Yeah.
Do you have anything about this issue?
I literally have nothing about this issue. This issue
I have
was
nothing about this issue.
I think it was competent, but there was nothing of note. The Pavel stuff is fine. It is another lost flashback story. Yeah. It's just doing that.
Is he John
again.
Locke?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
I was
pretty
thinking,
much right.
As soon as you said the lost thing, I'm like, is Pavel John Locke?
Yeah. No, that's pretty good.
Okay, then I guess that leaves us at our last issue. Issue 6. Pavel breaks the other prisoners free and reconvenes with Valentin and the others before deciding that he wants to be a freedom fighter as he goes to continue breaking the other prisoners free. Daniel, Lottie, Uncle Sam, and the silent minority head towards the next state. The D-Man tries at blocking their exit, but Daniel intervenes. The D-Man offers up the cure with no resistance, by the way. Just like the spike, very little resistance. Just another
He's really
trade.
Fair,
He's very fair. Very altruistic almost.
Yeah.
Just and of course he gets blown up immediately after giving the cure. Uncle Sam gets slimed and the gang make it through the wall to find a getaway helicopter waiting for them. Lottie gets forcibly injected with the cure, saving her, but forcing the team to stay and continue on their path. And that is the last issue of this volume. Keigen, do you have any specific notes?
This one has horrible libisms, like the worst of the whole book.
It's the one I noted down was "Don't tread on me," said in the stupidest context.
I took down a few. This was a response to slavery. This country did away with that a long time ago. Scott Snyder, Charles Soule. You guys haven't watched what is it? 13th. Go watch 13th on Netflix. The Ava DuVernay documentary, and it'll explain we didn't ever do away with slavery.
DuVernay.
Duvernay. Okay.
Duvernay.
I've never heard it, I don't think. I've only ever read it. But anyway, awful. Who taught you to shoot a well-regulated militia? I didn't like that one. I didn't like that one either.
I got a good one for you in this final issue.
Yes.
Daniel Graves says, the world's either going to end or it's going to be saved, and America will be a huge part of which way it goes. And then Ace Kenyatta says, it's been that way since 1945. Then Daniel says, this isn't about nuclear war, Ace. You're thinking too small.
Of course. Thinking too small.
Oh, so, here's a bad one.
Yeah.
One more. America is where journalists actually get to tell the truth. Freedom of the press, right? It's built into the country's DNA. That one made me like flashback to Private Eye, doing Private Eye with you, Salt, where like, again, a lot of this book, I think, Undiscovered Country, you can look at it and compare it to BKV. And like, I think Snyder in general, politically is pretty close to BKV, including in how he writes his stories. And I was just like, man, how can you? It reads so horrible today.
Nothing in Private Eye was that cringy though. Like Private Eye
did good. Private Eye did a good job with that stuff, right? Like they called CNN the feds. It was awesome. They actually he went hard against all that stuff. And here I'm just like, man, that just come out. Like, what are we doing?
This character Ace Kenyatta, first of all, he's like an otaku for United States, which is already like weird.
He's a Canadian otaku,
and he's a black Canadian otaku, which is already odder. And then he's got like, and I use otaku purposely because it is an anime ass protagonist name. He has one of the worst lines in issue 1. I was waiting to get to this one. In issue 1, he goes, I knew the states wouldn't abandon us. I knew it. Ever since World War I, the U.S. has tried to improve global affairs. They wouldn't just stop. It's so bad. Like, I don't have to agree with that, but like, I think you can't even have another character push back against that.
Yeah, you know what? I think I'm revising a little bit, like my feelings about this book, because if I had your mind, Salt, I would have stopped reading this book after issue 1. I would not have continued. Okay. If I had the ability to just like drop a thing that we're going to talk about, I would have stopped at 1. Right. And now I'm looking at it. And I'm like, there's no way I would ever read past issue 6. This issue was awful. I did not like it at all. I don't like its teasings and the way it's setting up the future. However, I took notes multiple times throughout this where I'm just like, especially because of the lost ass way this book works, I'm like, I can't actually know for sure that this book doesn't eventually call these people assholes down the line. Right. Because again, like Department of Truth, this is clearly set up to go for some time. Right. The first issue sold insanely well. Like it sold Batman numbers. So like they had financing to do this as long as they wanted. And they went to 36 with it. So I'm like, it's tough because I hate those lines and I think they're really bad. Like, especially the journalist. There's a bunch of this stuff with the journalist where I'm just like, this book eventually is going to say she's bad, though, right? And my curiosity isn't enough to actually read the book.
I mean, it really depends if they say it before or after Snyder watched Civil War.
So true. So true.
Like, again, this book is still in publication. If you hadn't gotten to that point before Garland's Civic War or Civil War, sorry.
No, but that's like one of the tensions with this book to me, because I'm just like, this is only 1/6 of the book. So it's like, there's a lot of room for them to improve on this, but like the basic level of this stuff sucks.
That, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's
again, like charitable. This book is boring. This book is boring and bad.
It takes like
separately from the shit we're even talking, the libisms.
If you're talking about this as though it's a train that's been derailed, like we're a solid few hundred meters away from the track. Yeah. It's going to take a lot of maneuvering to bring it back.
Right. And like, again, I don't have trust that they're not going to continue to be boring on the way to saying anything about the black Canadian otaku guy, right? Like, I don't think I have some amount of faith that would happen, that they're going to critique that in some way, but like the rest of the book isn't worth trudging through to get there. You know, like there's not real value in this thing.
Okay, so now that we've reached the end of the book, I want to talk about 5 topics. Okay, I think that's the best way to really break this discussion of the whole book down. We're going to do the characters, the COVID of it all, the U.S. geopolitics, the geopolitics of the world outside the U.S. in this book, and finally the world building. Because I think the world building is like the keynote to end this episode on. So yeah, let's start with the characters.
Boring, bland. I don't care about any of them.
I mean, the most character we've been able to talk about is the Black Canadian otaku, because he's so absurd. And you know, for as much as this book sucks, I think there'd be more going on if like everything was that crazy, but everything else is kind of bland.
Yeah, I think that is the dichotomy of the book. If everything was as crazy as that guy, or if Daniel, whatever his last name is, Daniel Graves, if his stuff was more locked in and they were saying stuff about not belonging to a country, right? Like leaving your country that walled itself off and not belonging anywhere else. If they could have figured out
repatriating in general, like
that's
a huge thing.
If the book went full Batman Dying City, and was just like bonkers, what the hell?
The Russians were responsible for the isolation of the US.
Or if they like actually took some of the things they did seriously on a real level, then like it could have worked. But instead it's just like, I don't care about any of these people. Yeah, they suck.
Yeah, they're all just character, like it's
they're
stupid saying that. They're all just they feel, I don't know, generic. Like again, it all feels mean, but it also doesn't feel accurate. Like calling them stock characters, calling them generic, calling them even parables, because they're not even parables. Like it actually, here's what they feel like. They feel like the other members of Jill Valentine and Chris Redfield's team in Resident Evil 1. They feel like the one-offs, the berries of the team.
They'll not killed.
That all, like,
yeah.
There is a part of me that's like, how many of these characters are actually going to make it to the end? Because that is a portion of this, right? And I guess that's also the lost of it all too, right? Like figuring out which of these characters make it off the island, proverbially speaking here. But yeah, I don't know. I don't care to see any of them make it out the island, make it out the United States.
Yeah. Hopefully they don't. You're stuck here.
Who knows? Maybe listen. All we saw was this one portion of the United States. What's to say that the deeper down the spiral you go, the better it gets? You know, maybe it gets better. Maybe it's just like Donkey Kong Bonanza, where in the middle of like 15 layers of hell, you've got like one resort layer. Maybe.
Could be.
Oh, actually, on the note of characters, Uncle Sam. Did you guys have any feelings about Uncle Sam?
It's so stupid. I hate that guy.
It's so weird. He's like this kooky, crazy uncle type character. Like, in some ways, it feels like I've seen him before in many other pieces of media. But I guess here's a mean way of looking at it. It feels like I've got dementia when I see him. I remember an essence of him. I remember a part of him, but I can't put a face to a name.
He almost seems like he has dementia, right? I mean, like he can't
even remember sending an invite, or if of course, if the invite was actually his to
time
send.
Dilation and stuff, it might not have been him. Whatever, stupid.
Thanks to time dilation, they've gotten further ahead in deep fake technology.
Yeah, it's J.J. Abrams' black box bullshit. But like he is, it's funny. Why am I pulling at a character from the hit NBC drama superhero drama Heroes, but he's like a horn glasses guy. He's like totally some kind of agency spook. That's how we get introduced to him, and then he's just like old man silent minority or whatever.
My only salient
dead.
Or go ahead, Lan.
Sorry, I was just quick. The fact that he's dead right now makes me think that he's like the old guy from Squid Game.
Oh,
he's gonna come back, and it's revealed that he's actually the one orchestrating all this.
Okay.
Sorry for those of you who, like me, 6 months ago hadn't seen Squid Game. The old man does come back. Sorry, Salt, you were saying?
Well, it's implied in the book that there's two Uncle Sams, or at least someone pretending to be Uncle Sam, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, with
Tulpa,
having like
perhaps.
Yeah, well, with having like a light and a dark Uncle Sam.
Should have been Samuel Jackson,
just like Nick Fury.
It made me recall that there is a DC comic superhero called Uncle Sam, and someone did do a Vertigo series with the two Uncle Sams fighting. I wonder if this started off as like a proposal like that, but DC rejected it for being too similar, and it evolved into this thing.
Maybe. I mean, this was like what, 2 Vertigo reboots in, right?
Yeah. But Snyder, and so I don't know. This was very Snyder was launching original stuff, and I feel like Vertigo was pretty not alive in 2019. So
this was when he was doing stuff for Comixology, right? Remember that huge stint of comics that
he did
Snyder
a bunch. I don't think any of them were worth reading, but he did a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't have anything to say about these characters. They are bozos.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the COVID of it all, because this book started publication a few months before the first lockdown. But the fact that it's was being published through the pandemic, and it is continuing to be published, past that initial wave, right? How does it stack up to the very real thing that we all experienced for 5 years?
I would say it doesn't, because like whatever strong opinions I may have about COVID and how it was handled and all the cultural fallout, it almost feels like this book forgets about COVID 10 pages into the first issue.
Yeah,
no, really,
it's
like you don't see many people die of
right?
it or anything, right? Like the even the cure doesn't matter as much.
Well, that's the weird thing, because the cure at the end, it reminds me of The Last of Us, right? Where you have the cure and then you throw it away effectively, right? Which is supposed to spur whatever happens after. But this feels so hollow in comparison to the ending of The Last of Us, where it rather than feeling like this big turning point where, oh, this was our way out, we managed to finally get to a point where we can put an end to the nightmare we've been facing, right? Like the thing about that moment in The Last of Us is you get to a point where you have effectively the cure. You've gotten to the Firefly base, and you're starting to work towards actually getting the cure. But of course, Joel's decision changes that, and the cure isn't found, right? There are a lot of reasons why that moment works, and the emotional stakes of it. Whereas here, it just feels like an excuse to keep them going, and it just feels so hollow.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a bunch of problems with the mysterious disease that happens in the book. One, I mean, I think it's a hat on a hat on a hat on a hat on a hat. Like, this book has so many concepts that it's already dealing with, and like, they literally go to a place where the sickness isn't occurring, Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's motivation for a lot of the plot for the cast, but it's not like
it's an artificial timer is what it is.
Yeah, and for one character, right? For Lottie only, one character,
really, right? Because thinking about it, there are plenty of other reasons why you could have an expedition team going into the US, 30 years down the line or whatever. You don't need it to be this, like, I don't know, world-ending virus. And the book almost seems to acknowledge that in some ways. Where
well, yeah, because some characters are there for completely different reasons.
Right.
So
it all feels very superficial.
Yeah. And
any other takes on fake COVID?
I mean, yeah, it just like doesn't matter to the book so much. Like it's funny because it's like this could have been really prescient, but instead it's like you didn't realize that the like global pandemic was going to be the main issue, the main problem of the thing.
Just to take the cheap shot again, Death Stranding, by comparison, feels much more prescient about the way that the world handled COVID.
You know what's crazy? So like, I can imagine COVID on the outside of America in this of the US in this story it changes the shape of the world while they're here, especially with time dilation stuff, right?
Right.
Again, I hope to never read issue 7 or issue 30 or any other issue of this book. I hope my mind never goes and decides to do that.
What if they do an issue 0?
Yeah, well,
co-written by James Tynion.
We'll come back for it. But the Die does a similar thing, but Die started before COVID and it ended after COVID, and it does like a thing there that I think is really effective that Undiscovered Country could maybe do, but I have no idea if it will, and I hope it doesn't. So I guess that's the other thing, is that like maybe it doesn't matter now and maybe it looks really stupid now, but because they lived through it, it will affect down the line. But
that's
as it stands in this volume, I don't care about it.
That's the weird thing to me, is that if they do try and work, the lived experience into this book, it's only going to be more apparent from this point onwards. Like the discrepancy between,
I think that's one of the good things about periodical storytelling like this. Like you can do that, and I think you can pull it off. And I know like it might be weird reading it in 36 issues, but again, like COVID wasn't a concern when Die started, and at the end of Die, it became a meaningful part of the story, right? There was no way there was intent to wrap that in 24 months before the last issue, and so like depending on how they do it, again, like they basically took it off the table as a threat in this issue 6, and so like if they don't have any connection to the outside world, if they exit and it's a different thing, then like I feel like that could still be effective because of all of that. But like if it suddenly starts bleeding into there's good ways to pull it off and there's bad ways to pull it off, basically. And I have no reason to think they will pull it. They would pull it off theoretically. But there's a way to do it, I think, is all I'm saying. And I hope to never actually be able to speak on it.
Yeah, I guess we'll never find out.
I guess we'll never know.
Way to put it.
I guess we'll never know.
But I think that's a good segue, because you did mention the way that the rest of the world would handle it. The geopolitics of the world outside the US, because we didn't mention it at any point before this, but the state of the world outside of the US is that they've devolved or progressed. We'll say progressed into 2 states. The Pan-Asian, is that what it was called? Pan-Asian Alliance? Honestly, I forget. There's an Asian alliance and there's a European alliance, basically.
It's whatever they assassinated Gaddafi for.
It's like Euro-Afro, right? Afrique.
Yeah, Euro-Afrique. Yeah.
Euro-Afrique.
Basically, the Belgians.
I think it's Pan-Asian. Yeah.
It's what King Leopold would have wanted.
There you go.
Shouts. What do you think is up with? What do you think is up with Palestine and Undiscovered Country world?
I hope to never find out.
So true. So fair.
Never find out.
I don't want these guys writing about it.
Listen, the last thing I want to know is where that region of the world falls within Snyder and Soule's idea.
It's gotta be the Europe one, right? Because
listen, Israel's in Eurovision,
Yeah.
So
that's messed up.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because I want to call it stupid. I want to say that it feels like a very dumb interpretation of how the world would handle being separated from the United States, especially now as we're starting to see the world starting to, you know, I guess prepare for the possibility of an isolated United States, at least on an economic level, right? Also, Alaska's now part of Canada again. No reason to assume that until you get to the...
That's the whole thing, Lan. Like when you say, you know, that's what's happening now. Like look at the world now. The U.S. is isolating itself, and it doesn't seem to be particularly harming anybody any worse than the U.S. being open. There's ramifications, but I wouldn't say it's a net loss for other countries, right?
I mean, there are economic hardships that are happening right now on a global scale because of the U.S. However, you know, that is causing the rest of the world to adjust to it, right?
And exactly. The world can adjust. It can look to new leadership. And if we look at the book's central conflict, as it were, what instigates Graves going into the U.S. is that the U.S. claims to have this vaccine. And what I find really fascinating about that is, I think in this sort of sci-fi world, the U.S. might claim it would have the vaccine, but that would be a very like big balls, snake oil type claim. Like, why would the U.S. have the credibility for you to believe that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why you would hinge this story on that. It doesn't make any sense. Right.
Yeah, and like, it's weird because there's plenty of reasons for people to want to go inside.
Right.
Right.
What
like
if the bisons
you don't
are
need
there?
a life-saving cure.
What happened in there? There's people who would want to know. Right. And like even the like Suicide Squad-esque group of people that get sent in there works with any reason that you want to enter. So like the whole virus part of it is wild because it's like, why do you think there's like medical development infrastructure there? You have no idea what's going on. What if they all just nuked each other?
China is creating ways to heal bones. You know, just heal bones without any sort of splints or anything, or any sort of like metal or whatever. They invented bone glue. I missed it. Oh, you didn't hear about the bone glue, Salt?
No. I guess
China's gotten to bone glue. They got bone glue. Anyway, it's crazy to think that in a world where the U.S. closed itself off from the rest of the world, the people that invented bone glue would be lagging behind the United States.
Even if we just look at COVID, right? Like the COVID vaccine is one of the most incredible examples. I mean, it's disgusting, and you know, companies own vaccines is bad, but like actually developing the vaccine was like an incredible example of actual like people working together, right?
Yeah,
like worldwide. And yeah, just saying that wouldn't happen for whatever reason is so silly. Like,
I mean, you know what it is?
Totally.
You know what it is? It feels like, and we joked about this with the character, you know, Ace and his American otakuism, but honestly, in some ways, he feels like the lens through which Snyder and Soule are approaching this book.
Absolutely.
You know, the idea that like the American state is a net positive for the world, that in spite of these flaws, it is still like the beacon of light in this world. Just a very self-congratulatory approach to a book like this.
This is the scales are falling off my eyes. It's happening. There's another part of that too where like they feel like they've earned saying that kind of thing by depicting the US as a shit show. Right? Like they can do American exceptionalism because it's like, well, we're only talking about the good stuff because it's dead right now. You know, it's Charlie Kirk as a pastor posting like, well, now we get to talk about all the good parts about how journalism is the bedrock of the United States of America. And it's like, man, we're here right now. Like, even in 2019, 2020, 2021, when you were writing this, shit was really bad. And like, speak on that. Don't speak on this like fiction that you are creating now about like a post-apocalyptic America. Like, even the concept of the like America changes every once in a while is really cool to me, right? Like that any country, and it doesn't have to be the US. I'm probably less interested in learning about what people would, especially these creators, would say to the US than I would other creators doing it to other countries. But like, that concept's pretty cool. This idea of like this country that just reinvents itself, but then it's like, what if it reinvented itself into something like fundamentally evil? You know?
What
like,
if?
Yeah,
What if?
exactly. But like, there's nothing there. Again, it's like, it's air. There's nothing to bite. There's nothing to even do with it. It's not even air. It's vacuum. It's like it sucks all the good ideas out of the good ideas. And yeah, like it's just a Ouroboros of that. Like, every topic we could bring up, it just comes back around to like this. They're cool words in a sequence, but it doesn't actually do anything.
I have one big geopolitics note, and it was perhaps one of like my most eyebrow raising moments reading this book, and it's in the back matter. We get a timeline of what brought the world to this present day of a physically isolated United States. You know, it's like, here's what's happened over the last 8 years, and it's the very first note that really was remarkable. It says, 8 years before the ceiling, in retaliation for an endless series of escalating tariffs and trade wars that crossed multiple administrations, China called in its outstanding U.S. currency debt, causing an immediate devaluation of the dollar, inflation, and a brutal global recession whose effects were disproportionately felt inside the United States. Now, here's the thing. I'm really dumb about a lot of this, so I can like criticize this for being really dumb. Prior to reading this, if you asked me like, hey, who's like one of the largest stakeholders of the United States debt, I'd be like, oh, I think it's China. So like I had some grounds to like kind of rock with this, but I was like, I'm gonna look this up. Do you guys know how much debt China owns, like US debt?
No.
It's less than 3%. For years, Japan has owned like 4 times the amount of China. Like, and there's all these other parties that own the US's debt. So you know, that the whole thing about like Charles, you know, like studying Chinese and like studying like Chinese relations and talking to the CIA and then being like, whoa, what if China like called it its debt? Like, this is all such like awful liberal / hawkish scaremongering. And it's
funny because
dumb.
even now, as the U.S. is collapsing slowly, like China isn't eagerly awaiting that. Right? Like, the last thing that China would want right now is a hegemony on its hands.
Yeah, China doesn't want to accelerate that. Like, China is very hands-off in many respects.
It's that one meme of like the Chinese invoke their plan to sit back and do nothing.
Yeah, it's that exactly.
That's what it is.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I don't know. Just my closing comment on the foreign geopolitics, you know, all the non-domestic geopolitics, is this book like is completely betrays any understanding that you would get after 5 seconds of basic Googling. It's really stupid.
Yeah, I mean, it's a like a cornerstone of all this kind of political fiction, right? Of like just making up a thing. And like, the thing is, I just read From Hell, right? And From Hell is largely bullshit. Like, it's not a real theory that anybody actually believes. Nobody of any real reputation believes that William Gohl was Jack the Ripper. But like, the amount of research that Eddie Campbell and Alan Moore put into that book, into making it feel real, it gives it this feeling of being like The Rehearsal, right? Where it's just like, I believe this because it's fun to believe this, right? Like it's an entertaining yarn, and horrifying in from Hell's case, but like it's still like, okay, this you did the thing to get me into the here, and this doesn't do that at all. Like if this was entertaining enough, then I'm like, yeah, fuck China, right? Like why not? You know, if you're gonna do a good job, like you can get me in it, right? Like Red Dawn was popular for a reason, and it's not just Red Scarism. It was like it was a fun movie at the time. So like, but they just can't. There's no part of this that could sell me on the bullshit, because it's like, no, it's like you didn't cover up the smell of bullshit.
Yeah. So that was the politics on the outside, but what about the politics on the inside?
What politics?
I think my only what politics?
Yeah, see, that's actually my trap card here. Is that this is actually a quick segue into the final note on this book, which is the world building.
On that note of both, I think one thing that libs like are really, really bad at is talking about domestic poverty. I mean, like just look at like how quick people are to get rage baited by someone like Will Stancil, right? Like poverty is a real thing in the US, and like very few politicians outside of like legit left leaders want to like touch it. And the fact that this book had like nothing to say, like really, I think really like is damning of that liberal worldview.
Yeah, I'm going to take a slightly different perspective on this, because it's something that I think BKV does well, and I think Snyder can do it well. This is not a good example, but like it is an example of this thing where it's like BKV has politics, but he is almost always more concerned about just telling a story. And sometimes you shake that story and the politics are really stupid. But the point was the yarn. He's trying to tell...
the story's still fun.
Exactly, right? And I mean, people absolutely are going to listen to this podcast and disagree with me. People hate Saga for various reasons. Particularly the politics are nonsense and bad. But like, ultimately, he is focused on the yarn, and the politics are secondary. And sometimes those are good, sometimes those are bad, because he's focusing on the storytelling. And I think this is actually a strength of Snyder's as well. I think a lot of his Batman run, he talks about cities in a very cool way that relates directly to Batman, and like is funny because he fucking moved to Staten Island like in the middle of his Batman run. Like weird that he's using this book to talk about like the greatness of Gotham City in New York, basically. And it's just like, damn, bro, you're in Staten Island. That's funny. But like I think that that focus on the storytelling first is a skill that is BKV-esque. It's not like a lot of the other guys in the British invasion or anything. I think that's something that he does. But then sometimes you get Undiscovered Country where it just doesn't, it's air. There's just nothing there, because he didn't try to put politics into it. He didn't try to have that meaning in there. It's just video game levels, and it's just an extremely unsuccessful version of this, because he really isn't trying to say anything about America when we're in the interior. Like it's nothing. It's just libisms. Like it's literally just a bunch of words.
I think the thing that pisses me off about the politics the most is that there really are no coherent politics. Like when we go on the inside, what we really see is just Machiavellianism for the most part. We see a state of collapse, and we see factions within it, but none of those factions have any set of coherent politics.
Yeah, there's trade. People have coins, right? There's that one moment where we see trade. But like, where's the potable water? Like, where's the food? Where's the what is the trade ecosystem? And like, this is just this Mad Max roaming colony, but like,
we get more about that one boat than we do about the United States. Like that one boat that has the self-sustaining everything said more, and within less time too. Within a page, we got everything we need to know about that specific part of the world. Yet we are never afforded the same amount of time about anything.
The levels stuff, volume. I don't understand it at all. What happened at the end of this book? Actually, they like used the key. They had the key. a portal in a rock open. Where'd they go? Is that how you get to Missouri now? Like, what happened?
So I believe this is what they call the loading screen.
Yeah, yes.
This
That's
is
exactly
this
what
is
it
you know
an
in
environment you can't
Skyrim.
interact with, but you can run around in it.
You know in Skyrim when it's loading and you get like you're able to turn that the antiques, and read a little blurb about them. That's where they're at right now.
Right. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, and it's like I don't understand at all what's happening, and that's the politics of it too, right? Like there's nothing, you couldn't see politics into it. It's not even nihilism, really, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, and especially because the people there, I don't even like the monsters there and stuff like that. I don't know. You can't glean any meaning out of it at all. It is just wasteland. It's not even a particularly interesting looking wasteland either. It's literally just barren space.
I mean, if you want to talk about the world building, I think my key indictment of this book is that this is a book that is very clearly world built by 3 neurotypical men.
Yeah.
There is not a hint of autism in the world building in this book.
No, you're
all.
right. Yeah, totally. You like, because if it's funny because again, that's such a good point. Like Snyder does this. He reads these books and he finds these facts that he likes to put into his books, but it doesn't come off as like autistic research. It's not like
it doesn't. Nothing feels hyper fixated on.
No, it's
like
just like,
nothing.
oh, that's a fun fact.
Feels hyper-fixated.
Oh, and this is how it'll relate into in the structure of the story. And that's it though. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna get super into trains. Like just train infrastructure could mean so much to the politics of this thing, but instead the train spawns without any tracks. Like there's what are we even saying?
The craziest thing is you have the perfect setup of it. The spiral, there is a literal I guess metaphorical track that they're going on towards the end point, right? That could be a physical track, I feel. In my opinion, it feels like something that could be defined by an actual border with an actual track that, physically manifests the path that they're taking. And you don't get that until they've crossed the first border. And who knows if that track will still exist when they exit that loading screen. Just everything about this feels like there should be back matter, and there isn't back matter. You're telling me there's no back matter?
Well, besides the quotes, right?
I mean, yeah, besides that long ass letter, I swear to God, for the time that I spent reading that,
the quotes on the red
pages,
the red pages,
from people that actually exist that don't like. Oh my God, those quotes are so dumb too. Let me see if I can pull some of them up.
You mean my favorite part of the entire book? This is.
I love when an issue ends and then you got the one quote that says "God bless America," and it's from Elizabeth Arch, 102, the oldest living citizen of the former United States, Bangkok Pan-Asian Prosperity Zone. Thank you. That added so much to the world building of this book. Now I know that there is a woman that is 102 years old in Bangkok.
I think these are the closest I get to going sicko mode, like Dying City. Just because they're so stupid. They're so dumb. And I wish everything was this dumb. Like, man, it's a value. Shouts to Siobhan Shalvey. 42, definitely not thrown in there as a secret, as a future child of artist Declan Shalvey, who worked with Snyder on All-Star Batman. Definitely not. This Siobhan from Dublin, definitely not a reference to his friend, the artist.
Yeah, shout out Milana Lopez 9 from Caracas in the Pan-Asian Prosperity Zone, who says the United States teacher talks about that in school sometimes. The presentation is honestly the worst part about it, because it's just white text on red, just red, right?
Yeah.
It's just white on red. And it just doesn't look appealing. Like You know what it you know what it reads like? It reads like the quotes that you would see from all the various what's the text? You know, the not flavor text. You know, the quotes from reviews that you see on the back covers of
pull
graphic
quotes.
novels. Pull quotes. They feel like pull quotes. And similarly to pull quotes, when my eyes see this, my eyes just glaze over. I'm not reading anything that looks like a pull quote.
Yeah. No, that's
Presentation, guys, come on.
fair. Yeah. You know, you gotta. This was pre. Wait, was this pre?
Pre what?
No, this is like the same time as Hoxpox, huh?
No, this is. Oh yeah, this is like right after Hoxpox.
This is like
immediately post Hoxpox.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
my final thought on like the domestic politics and the world building is like if I compare this to the crap man dying shitty that we did, that one's all Lan. I can't take credit for that. You know, we read that recently, and I think that just has like a certain inspiring type of liberal madness. Like, oh, like you're so deranged that you live in a world where the sky is green. Like just everything is like a complete upside down funhouse of mirrors. Like at least there's something.
That is Pod Save America. Like that is what that is. This is not Pod Save America. This is
this is nothing.
This is. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, no. And it's like, I think part of the explanation is that there is no America here at all. Right. And so like all they can do is talk about like it's just something to strive for. And it's like, yeah, man, like that is politics, obviously, but it's not meaningful in any real way. And so it just like, yeah, it's not, it doesn't have any quality to it. It's just nothing.
This entire book, and I can't stress enough how crazy it is that this book hasn't ended yet. You know, I know it's going to end soon, you know, at least by the release of this episode soon. But it's so crazy to me. Like, it just conceptually, the fact that they've managed to keep it going for 6 years now, you know, is so crazy to me.
Yeah. What was that other? That was another Snyder book, right? The one he kickstarted with Scott McDaniel. Scott McDaniel, is that his name? No, what's his name? What am I thinking of?
Snyder kickstarted a comic. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not doubting that Scott Snyder kickstarted a comic. It's just
I think it's.
I don't remember.
I might be.
Scott Snyder, the Cloakroom?
Tony Daniels, Noctera. This is making me think about Noctera because that's also an apocalypse book.
Oh, is that done though?
That's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if it is complete.
I'm sorry. Scott Snyder and Tom Hardy's Arcbound Volume 1 Special Edition from Scott Snyder, Frank Thierry, Ryan Smallman, and Oscar-nominated actor Tom Hardy comes a bold new sci-fi saga. When did this happen? Oh, launching soon.
We have to read that. I would love to cover some celebrity comics on this pod. I've always had a fascination with celebrities writing comics.
Salt, buddy.
There's quite a few.
There's quite a few. We could do a whole month on it, honestly. We could do a whole year on it, honestly. Just the amount of... Oh, buddy. Okay. Well, there we go. Like... There's our...
Yeah. That's a good idea. Noctera, the last issue came out in 2023. It's 16, and it hasn't returned.
Hasn't returned yet.
Yeah. It hasn't returned yet. Time. Yeah, very contemporaneous. It's an apocalypse thing, too. But I don't know. I was thinking about that because I also am like, I wasn't sure it ended. Anyway.
Yeah, anyway, I think my final word on this book is it's a nothing book. It says nothing. It does nothing new. It doesn't say anything of interest. There's doesn't offer reason to read good it or speculative fiction. Yeah. I have no compulsion to read any of this. You can support us at patreon.com/midnightgrappleranimals and tell us to read more of this book, and we won't do it. I'm saying it right now. You can tell us, hey, I really like this episode. Please do more. And I'll say thank you for listening.
If you urge us to post whole, we'd be more likely to follow that request than read this book.
One time,
You heard it here first, folks.
we were looking for a new apartment. This was the first time we moved, and Kindred kept like finding fake posts. And it was like she could suss them out real quick, right? Like we never fell for one and like never gave money to anybody that was fake. She just was like, why do people do this? And we couldn't find a place, so she was like, I'm pissed off at this person, we need to do something. And I was like, send him a picture of my butthole. And so she did. She sent a picture of my butthole.
That's so cool.
What?
That's some real teamwork.
Don't scam people with fake posts. That's what I'm telling you right now. If you're scamming people with fake posts, with fake apartments in my area, you might get a picture of my butthole. All right.
Okay,
Morning's
so basically
out there
you're
now.
just telling everyone listening to this episode how to get a free butthole pic from you.
Oh, yeah. Sure. That's only if I'm trying to move, though. All right. I'm not telling anybody when I'm trying to move anymore.
Make your moves in silence. Any last words on Undiscovered Country before we not physically, I read this digitally, metaphorically close the book on this?
No, make it gone from my sight.
Be gone, Undiscovered Country. Be gone. But before we go, just quickly, let me tell you, we got a Patreon, patreon.com/midnightgrappleranimals. You can listen to me recite the entirety of that letter that I read at the beginning, because that's real Sicko's Cut material there. You can do that at patreon.com/midnightgrappleranimals. You can also get our B-sides, which are, the little bits of idle talk that we do before episodes are actually recorded. Usually just fun stuff talked about there. But $5 a month also gets you bonus episodes, bonus series. We got a bonus series coming up that I'm not allowed to tell you about, but it's coming soon. And you get exclusive access to channels in our Discord server. If you're a grappler already and you're listening to this and you still haven't gotten access to that exclusive channel yet, let us know. Otherwise, you can support us through morale. Go to your podcast apps of choice. Go to Midnight Grappler Animals. Give us a good review. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Tell your enemies. Tell everyone that you think could use, 2 hours of us talking about Undiscovered Country and Department of Truth. Just go to them. Tell them, hey, I listened to this podcast about Undiscovered Country. And they'll be like, Undiscovered Country, what is that? And then that's how you... Anyway, I shouldn't tell you how to share. Just go do it. If you got questions, comments, suggestions, midnightgrappleranimals@gmail.com. If you want to talk to us more directly, the Discord server, our social media pages, everything in the description of this episode. And before we're fully done with this, Tastemaker's grab bag. Who wants to go first?
Go first. Recently watched Torque, the movie from 2004, directed by Joseph Kahn. I loved it. I think it's the best motorcycle movie ever. And then that leads me to my second rec. I found out it was meant to be a parody of Fast and the Furious. So I am now watching all of the Fast and Furious movies, and I'm up to 5, and I think that one is the best of the ones I've seen so far. A lot of cop killing. I'm not advocating that. I'm just saying it's a thing that happens.
It's a thing that happens. We
We
neither deny or condemn.
In the movie, it's cool.
Yeah. It does it well, is what
in
we
the
say.
fictional movie.
In the fictional movie that is not real and doesn't reflect real life.
Not based on any reality. Just it is.
No, that's all I got. Keigen?
You know what? I got one, and this is it. Pupusas.
Sorry?
Pupusas. Go
Pupusas.
find a lady in your community who makes pupusas. They're an incredible food that I love to eat. Pupusas.
Pupusas. Pupusas.
Pupusas.
Pupusas. Pupusas.
Yep. No, pupusas. Delicious.
Shit,
it for
what do
me.
I recommend? Oh, you know what? I had the opportunity to play the Kirby Air Riders demo this weekend. And you know what? Not that I have any intention to get Air Riders soon, but I think I might. Just because Kirby Air Riders is city trial mode in this specific version of the game, you know. It's the closest that you'll feel to being on ivermectin without actually taking ivermectin. It's genuinely like the most insane experience that I've had all month. I feel insane playing it. I feel like I'm losing my mind every time I get in there. Like it feels like a Ben Garrison drawing, it just playing in my head. So if I shouldn't be doing free promo for Nintendo for a game that isn't even out yet, but
Too late. You already did Bonanza.
I played Bonanza though. I recommended Bonanza after playing it.
Okay.
So you know, if it's already this insane off a limited demo, I'm sure it's going to be even more insane in the.
How did you get your hands on the demo, Lan?
Oh, it's a trial that's going on this weekend and next weekend. By the time I think by the time this episode comes out, there'll still be one more weekend to try it out. So if you have a Switch 2, if you're like one of the 5 people that have a Switch 2, yeah, go do that. Otherwise, I'm gonna recommend If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, the new movie from Mary Bronstein starring Rose Byrne, Conan O'Brien, and A$AP Rocky. Honestly, everyone in the cast is fantastic, but it is the perfect look at the deterioration of a mother's mentality. It is a horrifying watch, and I mean that in the best way possible. And shout out moms, you know? Shout out moms. None of them are perfect, but none of them need to be perfect.
Lan, big fan of moms.
Huge fan of moms, actually. I'm quite a big fan of moms.
The M in Lan, M stands for mom fan.
Fan of moms, yes. Mothers that I would love.
Two friends.
Mothers that I love. Mothers that I love.
Moms is an
shout out
important word
moms.
in him, in his vernacular.
In my vocabulary, yes.
Yeah.
Very mom oriented. Very mom oriented in my ventures. Yeah, I think that's the episode. I think that was good. So, you know, if you're still listening to this, I don't know why. But, as always,
keep on
grappling.
Oh, thanks for listening, I should say. I forgot about that part. It's okay.
What a flub.
It's okay. Flub and flounder. That's our new thing now.
Oh,
we had flub for 3 years,
we
but
got
now
a flounder.
flounder's
Sometimes we got a flounder.
Yeah.